Hey Team AAA, it's Melissa Ashcroft here, the owner of the AAA Financial Group and host of the Property, Ownership, Wealth and Everything Related, also known as the P.O.W.E.R podcast, where we chat about everything money, taking charge of your power, and we talk to special guests about how they got to where they are, the lessons they've learned, and their insights on building a better future. Be sure to follow our socials at AAA Financial Group on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, and visit our website at www.aamortgageswithAt.com.au to learn more about us and book an appointment. So today I'm thrilled to welcome Blake Buchanan. He's a key leader at Specialist Finance Group, also known as SFG, one of Australia's largest and most respected mortgage aggregators. Blake has built a reputation for supporting brokers with the tools, resources and strategies they need to grow sustainable businesses, while also helping clients access finance solutions that truly align with their goals. From navigating complex lending structures to building systems that support hundreds, if not thousands of brokers nationwide, Blake's work in broking and aggregation pulls him in at the heart of the finance industry and how it evolves and adapts. So Blake, welcome.
Thank you so much, and what an introduction. Hello everybody. Geez, that's too kind, and I feel really blessed to be here.
True.
I'm sitting here in the OG's office, right? So
Yes.
There's a lot of experience, one of the first brokerages, this one.
That's right.
So I'm very proud to be invited to be with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. We've known each other about 7 or 8 years.
Long time.
And I've always known you in an aggregator position. So what I'd like you to do, please, because our listeners would love to learn more about you, is to just tell us a little bit about your career to date and then tell us what you do at SFG.
Excellent. So I've been in the industry for well over 20 years, so I won't be exact. And I come from a space and a place where I always believe if you're going to do a job, do it yourself, learn it, learn everything about it and learn it well.
Sure.
And that's what I did in this industry. I started out as a broker at the ripe young age of 20 or so. And then I moved up the ranks. I moved into banking for a couple of years. And then I moved into distribution about 15 years ago, or aggregation, or both as we call it. I found my passion in the industry at a young age.
Yes, you did.
What I felt was I had so much to offer, and I needed to get into a position where I could start to change things. I love working with businesses and helping them grow.
Yes, and you've certainly been, an advocate of our business and, helped us grow. And I think what a lot of people hear is a lot of words in our industry and they don't really know what they mean. So an aggregator or a distribution partner, what exactly does your company do?
Excellent question, and it is very hard to explain. I've got family members that don't know what I do, but we're essentially the middleman. So as brokers have evolved and so have regulations, the banks and lenders can't manage the compliance that is required to have every one of those 20-odd thousand brokers writing deals directly, managing their compliance, making sure they're adhering to the legal frameworks. So an aggregator's role has evolved over the last few decades, but what we do is provide access to the 80 or so business partners on our panel for our brokers to gain access to. We supply the systems, the support, the strategic assistance. SFG also gives financial assistance to our brokerages. And of course we monitor to make sure that on behalf of the banks, the brokers are doing the right thing and adhering to the rules.
Understood. So basically it's an aggregated group and people choose as a broker which aggregator they want to be a part of. They must have an aggregator if you are going to be a broker with doing bank finance, I guess is the best way to position it.
Correct.
And how do they know which one to choose? And how many are there in Australia?
Well, there's about 12, a dozen of them bona fide, and then what we've got is large brokerages or sub-aggregators, and then you've got brokerages and brokers. About 40% of brokers are single-man operators, and then moving up from there, you've got about 60% that are businesses with structure and office space and staff behind them, etc.
So how does one choose what aggregator to go to? So we know that there's 12 of them.
So with your aggregator selection, aggregators are really there to provide 3 core ingredients: systems, support, and their value proposition. So from a system perspective, we always like to encourage brokers to investigate the different aggregation systems out there and choose the one that most closely aligns to their business model, their purpose and what they're trying to achieve. The main differentiators between aggregators is you've got wholesale aggregators, where most people would never or not know their brand. And then
Yeah.
you've got the retail ones, the big ones like your Aussies, your Mortgage Choices, etc. So
Sure.
it's really up to the broker to investigate the systems, the support frameworks, the value proposition of the aggregator before they make their choice.
Yeah, understood. Well, what helped me make my choice was one that I'd met you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because you do give it straight and you do provide that full framework of exactly what it is that you do, and you didn't sell it, which was nice because I'm like anti-sales, even though I'm in an industry of sales. And the second thing was the system. So having a CRM that I was able to utilize quite easily, not being very technical. So for me, relationships and CRM, and we've been with you guys for 5-6 years now.
And it's been a great partnership, and thank you.
It has.
We really love the comments around the system. It
Yes.
is what brokers are working in every single day, so we really love to make ours the most efficient out there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you are, and you've got upgrades coming, and
Yeah.
we can add anything in the show notes after this in case anybody's interested. I know we have a lot of listeners that are curious about what brokers do.
Mm-hmm.
They're also keen to understand all the words that we say and the vernacular of our industry. But also, you know, our industry is about choice, and it's about competition, and it's about creating that. So there equally exists that in aggregation. So you want to make sure if you are choosing, and you are a broker and you are choosing an aggregator or switching, that you have done, as Blake said, the due diligence, and that you kind of have a meeting of minds with the people that are in the top positions there. Because ultimately, if you've got a problem, this is who you come to. So if you feel like they're not aligned with you, or you just don't really understand, seek somebody else until you find.
It's a big one. Outside of the systems, we do get that support question. So we fundamentally believe that business owners should talk to the business leaders, and that's our whole model. It's a very flat structure. So it doesn't matter if you're a 2, 5, 15 or 30-man band.
Yeah.
You're welcome to speak to the leadership with us. We're very engaging with our network. We think that's
100%.
critical.
Okay, so now we know what aggregators are. We know that every broker needs an aggregator. We know how to choose an aggregator by, you know, doing your due diligence and making sure you're on the right track. But tell me what also aggregators like yourself do in terms of advocacy for brokers. Like how are you assisting with market trends at the moment?
So we do a lot of work behind the scenes. In fact, if you look at aggregators, you might see the old duck on the pond analogy. We've spoken about my week this week and all the places and things that I've been doing.
Yeah.
Our job really is to advocate not just for the industry more broadly, but brokers and brokers' consumers, the directions, the trends, and where we want to take the industry for sustainability. So we sit on the advisory panels of both the industry bodies, we talk to the regulators, and a good example would be around Royal Commission time, where we were down in Canberra talking to politicians more than a dozen times in that year to make sure they heard our message.
Yeah.
We really like to see where the industry is today and the great benefits that we've provided, and make sure that we continue to deliver those into the future.
Yes.
So many people wouldn't understand or see that over the course of the last 30, 35 years that brokers have been in existence, that every interest rate residentially has come down between 2 and 3% because of the competition that brokers bring.
Yeah.
And so it's vitally important to people like me that we keep on pushing new initiatives, great directions of the industry that can cater to the emerging markets, so that we're around to provide the benefit to everybody in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's you help the brokers with how to assist their business and do that. But also as an advocate for the industry, it's really important because I think you said there's about 20,000 in Australia, and you know a couple of years ago 17. So it's a small industry, but it's growing, and in the majority are self-employed. So that's really important to protect us.
It's super, super important, and it's normal for new industries to have issues or errors and correct them throughout time. And we've seen, you know, the implementation of certain lending standards, and then best interest duty is the most recent one that we're adhering to. That's all bringing us better. I think moving forward now, there's a real good look at the quality of things, and what is the quality output of the broker's work, and how can aggregators in the industry more broadly assist them on their journey to better quality.
Definitely. One of the things I think quality should be, you know, considered in the equation is the education piece. So I've recently done a pilot program with the MFAA for their RMIT university course.
Yes.
And it's a step above, you know, you can have a Cert 4 in our industry, which is a certificate. Then you can have a diploma, which is kind of the baseline level, but let's be real, like I don't need you to confirm, but it's not a difficult thing to do. Like the barrier for entry is quite low. So by the industry advocating for more education pieces to be able to, improve on your professionalism for clients, I think that's another really important step.
So speaking about some of the barriers to entry and the quality
Yes.
moving forward, so at the moment it is quite a low bar. You talk about doing the coursework, and whether you do a Cert 4 or a diploma, which is all you need to get in, it's a little bit more paperwork. It doesn't actually give you real life on-tool experience. So as an industry, these are things that we do lobby for.
Yes.
So we lobby for minimum standards. We believe the minimum standard should be the diploma, not the Cert 4. We also see a huge failure rate in the first year of new to industry brokers. It's well above 50%.
Yes.
And that's quite disappointing. But when they're dealing with people's finances as well, you don't want it to be above at that number.
Yeah.
If we take the insurance broking world as an example, to join as an insurance broker, you've actually got to work in an insurance broker's firm for the first period of time, 2 years.
Yeah.
Whereas becoming a finance broker or a mortgage broker, you don't. You can just
start
up your own business tomorrow. And that's where we see a lot of the failure. So we're encouraging these new to industries to join a firm so they've got those layers of support around them so that they can succeed.
100%. And I would also say you should be doing it for all the ex-bankers that have come into broking and they're taking their, and good on them, but they're taking their clients that the bank's got on their behalf. They're moving them over, but they've had no broking training whatsoever. And they're great people, but because they don't have that 2 year or even 1 year practical experience, they're going back to the bank. So anyone listening out there, my advice to you is if you're going to move from your bank and become a broker, like all power to you, but make sure you get some good runs on the board first because you want to be doing this for as long time as you can. And to speak even to my personal situation, like, my father started AAA in the 80s, and so I didn't really have the big, drop in terms of I was, okay, well, we'll start you off at $100 a day and, what you bring in, you get this and what that, and, it worked well for a little while. But until I bought the business, I was still on $100 a day. So the point is you do have to earn your stripes no matter where you start in this industry. If you really want to be successful and get the accolades and, have a great client book and great client retention, I think it's really about earning your stripes somewhere along the way. It's got to be some level of difficulty to get you through those challenges so then you can become an even better broker. If it was all smooth sailing, it's never going to last.
I couldn't agree more. And when you join this industry, if you're a successful brokerage, you tend to be in it for the long term, for a very long period of time. And so if we cast our minds back to when we joined the industry, spending 2 years with a firm and learning on the ground with that support around you, in the scheme of things, it's really nothing. Yeah. And you'll be much better, much faster for doing it. I know that's how I started as a broker.
Yeah, 100%.
In a firm with 6 or 7 brokers around me.
Yeah, well, and I'm mentoring our 2 staff here, and that's a lot, but like they got that on the ground training so that they can go off and, create and grow their own careers. And for me, that's what my plan is always going to be. Get them in young, teach them the tracks, and then, set them off. So, and that gives me great, feelings of success to have that, I've brought people into the industry and seen them become successful. That's a driver for me because you have to find drivers when you've been doing it a really long time. And like this podcast is another thing, I love talking to you about this stuff and, it's a nice outlet from what we do every day.
Absolutely. And it's a bit of a refresher as well. So over the course of the last 20 years, I've been interviewed by, met with, worked with, consulted to the best brokerages in the country.
Yeah.
And often when we talk about this, we remind ourselves, when I say to these people, what got you into the industry?
Yeah.
Their first response is always, oh, we love helping people.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of our industry, problem solving to help people.
100%.
And if your purpose is spot on, the money, the infrastructure, everything comes because you do a good job because of that purpose.
Agreed. And I think, it's a great, if you say like, I'm a problem solver, I like to help people, it doesn't mean you need to go into healthcare or into education. You could actually end up in finance and still help people. It doesn't, the 2 words seem juxtapositioned, but I just think it's the truth.
It is the truth. I did some study work with a firm that was moving into organisations to help them with their staff.
Yeah.
And through the study, we were able to work out that finance is the number one thing that families at home complain about. And if you're unhappy at home, you're possibly unhappier at work. And when you're not happy at work, you're less productive.
Yeah.
And so it's really fascinating insights into that data where, as you say, brokers come in and they're solving problems that make their home lives better because they're not arguing as much about money because they've got the best solution through their broker.
Yeah. Love that. I think people should listen in, take that in. If you don't use a broker yet, you should. It's 74.8% is the latest data. Or
maybe even higher, 76.8%.
Oh, 76.8. There you go. Well, look, we're following the UK, which is, close to 100%.
Yes.
And I think the more people, that little bridge gap, once we've got most Australians who have a home loan through a broker, I think that'll be a moment where all the work that you've done in advocacy and all the work that you're pushing in education and entry level will really show, because everybody will be using a broker.
Well, everybody nearly already is. So 8 out of 10, you know, let's just call it that.
Yeah.
But you look at little things like the benefits that brokers bring. So AFCA, which is the complaints body for the finance and insurance world, brokers are less than 1% of all of those complaints.
I know.
And yet they're doing nearly all of the loans in Australia.
Yeah.
Best interest duty, brokers were always adhering to best interest duty, but when it was regulated and we've got to do paperwork around it, you would think there'd be this huge shift of what brokers do.
Yeah.
But there really wasn't.
No.
And what that proves is for the last couple of decades, brokers have been working in consumers' interests, getting them a better deal. And if you're that very small 2 out of 10 that doesn't use a broker, but has a loan, you're still the beneficiary of brokers because they got you a cheaper interest rate by creating a competitive environment.
Exactly.
So thank your broker. Even if you don't use one, go and thank one.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think sets a strong broker apart in today's market?
Great question, Melissa. So I try and meet with 2 brokerages per week, and we do strategic sessions for 2 to 3 hours on their business, discovering everything: P&Ls, marketing, their client bases, how they engage, etc., etc. And the ideas of those sessions are really to flesh out what they're doing well, and then talk about areas of improvement or opportunities that we can see but they might not see. So it's to help their businesses. So we meet with a lot. That's just me personally, in addition to everything else I do. That gives me a great understanding of what they're going through. But I'm able to take all of those meetings with all of those brokerages over the years and bring that into their business and advise. Out of the most successful brokerages we see, they all still think that they've got problems, and sometimes they do. But out of the most successful ones that we see, they've got a bulletproof process. They know what happens with a file start to finish. They've manufactured and designed a perfect, or as close to perfect, customer journey as possible. And they know their numbers. They know their conversion rates, their runoff rates, how many clients they've got, how much money it's going to take to keep the lights on. Their marketing opportunity journeys, and away they go. They know it. I'll tell you one other thing that stands out with me. The top professional brokerages that are writing huge volumes, because they've got nailed down policies, processes, they've always got time to learn, to listen, and to improve. That's one thing I really admire about some of these top people.
That's
such as
smart.
yourself.
Thank you for saying that. But look, I don't know if I do all those things. I probably need to do a bit of self-reflection on all of that, but most of it. But what I do think is we need to allow ourselves free time in terms of just creatively think about what's next for the business, what's next for this client, what's this how can I sort it? But also that when a new lead comes in, you're free and ready to just take it on. Sometimes you get more business coming in, it's so stressful. It's like, well, no, this is the goal, to help more people with their home loans and commercial loans and what have you. So for me, allowing space, and if the space doesn't come for something that's automatically business, I know for a fact it will lead to something that will help the business. So I don't know how people do it, where they block out time for themselves every day or once a week, or I encourage my staff, don't turn up, just go sit in the park. Really the creative thinking about what we do, I think, is really imperative, and we're so focused sometimes on working in the business that you go, oh, hang on the business might be a better landscape. So being able to meet with someone like you, I think, would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, we have to preface the meetings and say, look, we're going to ask a lot of questions to try and discover. And something you said just there really resonates with everybody. So if you're not organisational and live and die by your diary like some of us do, and I come in and say live and die by your diary, well, you're not going to do it. So it's about understanding that first and then working out ways to improve, enhance, or give you a better quality of work and life as well.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about the creativity. We've got a chap up the coast and he procrastinates because things seem to get a bit hard for him. So we said, mate, every time you start feeling like that, just acknowledge it and do something about it. So he started splashing his face with cold water, going outside for 20 minutes and getting some sun, and then coming back in, and he just feels revived and refreshed.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have got to that had we not had a deep understanding of him personally.
Yes.
So I think one of the great benefits for a broker's business is to ask yourself a lot of questions and understand your behaviours and then try and bend things that aren't too far out of your comfort zone that you stop doing them.
Exactly.
Get out of your comfort zone, but not too far out of it.
Exactly. One of the things I do when it just seems a bit overwhelmed, I just go for a walk, put the headphones in, and I'll walk literally around the block. Sometimes that's all I need, but sometimes it's a couple more, breaths out, like just looking at people, talking to a friend. Okay, now I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back where I need to be. Because you do need to dial in when you're doing a loan application or when you're speaking to a client and you're trying to solve something for them. So, yeah, I think that's sage advice for anybody out there, really.
Well, and don't forget, Melissa, and to all the listeners that are not brokers, what we do is a stressful thing. We bear a lot of responsibility. We're dealing with hundreds of thousands and millions of other people's money. Quite often, it is a high stress environment. And often for brokers, one of the big challenging issues we see is they carry that home with them.
Yes.
So if they didn't get that approval at 459 from one of the major banks on behalf of their client, they carry that concern, that fear, that worry with them. And so it's critical, like any industry, that you learn to switch off as well.
Absolutely.
Do what you can within the times that you can do it. And when you're at home, be at home with your family.
Absolutely. As someone once said to me, the work will be there tomorrow. I mean, unless it's an urgent settlement that, yes, you really do need to stress on, but it's always there. And, we've been in this physical office for 25 years. I don't feel like I walk into the same place every day, which is another great thing about what we do, but it's also, the stress keeps it unique and keeps it alive.
Oh, it does. And you've got the best laid out plans, and you come in and it's a great day, and all of a sudden somebody's created a fire, and now you're over there.
Yeah, exactly. So the best laid plans often don't work out that way. So then just quickly back to the industry, how do you see aggregation evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? Like if we're at that 8 out of 10 now and we're at 9.5 out of 10 in the future of all loans being introduced by brokers, what are aggregators going to do to step up?
So it's critical that aggregators play a huge part in the technology piece. So with the advent of AI, the industry's had no rulings on how to use it.
Right.
And brokers need to be very aware of where their data is stored and that you can't license AI bots, so it can't give advice. So there's some of the risk. Brokers adhere to that at the moment, but brokers are searching for the advice on where we're going to go with AI in particular. So our job is to continue to create legal, compliant efficiencies within systems. We talk about evolution of aggregators. There's been huge evolution. I was talking to the head of Westpac Bank yesterday, and we were talking about 20 years ago, there was in excess of 80 aggregators. So we're about 1/8.
We were aggregator at one stage.
Right, so we're about 1/8 the size. So that is evolution already. I think we do the same job fundamentally, technology or not. If brokers are faster at their jobs because of technology, they're still going to be doing their jobs. How they're doing their jobs might change. Instead of spending heaps of time on the data entry and the dull, boring and unsexy stuff, it might be more on the strategic relationship side of things as the advisor for their finance and lending needs.
So that's good. So we'll potentially have AI doing the unsexy, boring part of what we do, because there's quite a lot of it. And then that'll enable us to focus on strategic direction for our business and focus on our clients without being too overbearing on it for our clients as well, I guess.
I agree, and if I was to make a prediction, you probably weren't alive, but in the late 80s and early 90s, there was a lot of concerns, particularly around the advent of the fax machine. And
yes.
so
there used to be one here.
right, and
Yeah.
so when the fax machine came out, a lot of people were saying jobs are going to be replaced. What are we going to do? There's going to be all this unemployment, and I think there's a lot of that fear with AI.
Yeah,
I take comfort.
good analogy.
I take comfort in knowing that it's going to be our buddy, and it's going to make us more efficient, and it's going to give us more time to build better relationship and purpose-driven businesses because we'll have more time to focus on those things.
Oh, absolutely. I totally get it. When back in the 90s, when I worked here as running the accounts, I used to have to get all this stuff out of fax. And like, I don't know if anyone remembers, the fax paper was different and it was like yellow and it scrolled over. It's like a receipt like that you get from the cafe, and then it would fade over time. So when we did a big office cleanup about 10 years ago, went in and there's reams and reams of blank paper because all the ink had gone off. I was like, we did our compliance. We saved those files for the, 2 times the actual limit that you should.
God, weren't they a headache? We had a 20-page fax machine, and so when you got a sophisticated deal, it might be 200 pages of returns, etc.
Yeah.
And you'd have to count them out in pages of 19, not 20, just to be safe. And you'd have them all different angles fanned out. And so as you were getting down to the last page, you'd quickly stuff in the next 19 pages. And you'd be there for hours, and sometimes you'd be onto your 15th run and you're nearly there and it jams or the line drops out, so you'd have to start again.
The line dropping out.
Oh.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. AI will come in as a buddy, as a friend. It's not something for us to feel like we're losing out. And when I hear that, I just go straight back to you and say, well, we're a service industry.
We are.
So we don't, like, technology or not, as much as you can have that will help you, yes. But at the end of the day, if I can't talk to the client and offer them the service, I doubt a bot's going to be able to do that. Sure, it could probably find a rate, and the neo-banking world could probably solution something, but are they actually going to pick up on personal and emotional cues? Are they actually going to be asking, what is your planning for the future in a way that makes people feel comfortable and not like, I should be doing more, So I think that's really what it is. We're a service-based industry.
I agree, and I've actually got some real-world experience with that as well for a project that I did. I can't mention names, of course.
You can tell us.
But the problem that they were trying to solve was that their clients, as a lending business, were refinancing and leaving their business sooner than what market averages were. And so you think about things like, okay, what's the service delivery? What's the outcome? What we discovered over time is that it's none of those things. It's actually that the person that first did it was no longer there. And so when the client wanted to call and talk to their broker in that firm and they weren't there, it was, well, you can talk to the next one. Well, I haven't built up a relationship with that next one. You know what, it's okay, I'm now going to go to my uncle's referred broker mate or something like that. So it's really critical, the human element to what we do as trusted advisors. And, whilst AI is fantastic, it's not a human and it's not a trusted advisor in finance.
That's right. So let's now go to the final part of my podcast where everybody kind of gets asked similar set of questions. I like to call them like fire answers. So you can either just say whatever comes to your mind or you can provide a longer explanatory response. So let's do it.
Okay,
here we go. What is the best money or finance tip you have ever received?
Look after the cents because the dollars will look after themselves.
Okay.
That came from Mac Whitehouse, who owns Beach Road Hotel at Bondi, the Tilbury, and Jewel Hotel Motel.
Okay.
The Vicar now.
The Vicar, very good. Yeah, the sense. Like we just tap all the time. We do all these things. We spend more than we even know. So I'm on with you with that. What is the most common mistake a broker or a client makes? Let's just say it in a home loan process.
Not setting the expectations for the journey. Getting a loan's not easy. And for the brokers that try and make it easy, they make it harder for themselves. So I love the saying, hard moments now for better time later. And the hard moments are being transparent, saying it's not easy, we're going to have to collect and formulate, get it through, and sometimes they can let us down. So the people that set expectations win, the ones that don't, they have a hard time.
I agree. I manage people's expectations, I would say, excellently. Okay, 2 more questions. What's one book, podcast, or tool you would recommend for better financial or business literacy?
I get asked this question all the time.
Do you?
I do.
That's original.
It is good, but you get asked it all the time.
You got an answer.
So the real answer is I've only read one novel since I left school, and I can't do podcasts for some reason because I'm always so busy. So I don't read. But what I do read is data, current affairs, news articles, politics, everything, and that shapes my business world.
Sure.
So I pay attention to everything. I try and pay attention to everything as often as possible. And read data sets and truth data sets, not just political bias media. Yeah. Sometimes.
I'm with you. I read the Fin every day because I specialise in commercial and construction finance and use a lot of the funds that are in there, and often it'll just give me one little thing, one inspirational, billionaire's done something. I'm like, okay, I need to do something.
Right, yeah, you can pick up those little sound bites. I've got a busy job. I've got 4 young kids.
Yeah, you do.
And my wife runs a business as well, so I am super busy.
You are.
I don't have the time for books.
No, I know, that's fine. You don't need to read a book. I can't remember the last book I read, to be honest, but I do read. But yeah, I couldn't tell you what it was. I think it was the course I did, the MFAA course.
Yeah, good read.
40 hours of learning. Okay, final question. What is a power quote or mantra that you live by?
The most meaningful one to me that has shaped my life is to do what you fear most first, if that makes any sense. You can apply that in every area of your business.
Yeah.
It stops you procrastinating, it challenges you, it gets you out of your comfort zone, and that stretches you, that makes you bigger.
Absolutely.
The secondary one I love is never hold a grudge or lose your sense of humour. Yes. We come across all different types of people in this world.
We do.
And it's the sum of all that makes us great, and there's people that you might not agree with, but hey, that's part of our DNA and our makeup. So we've got to treat everyone respectfully and have good humour about ourselves.
Yeah, agreed. I do like that. Do what scares you first. Do that first.
Get it out of the way because the rest of your day will be fabulous. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try that tomorrow.
Yeah,
Not today.
Good.
But look, I'd just like to thank you so much. Obviously, you're a very busy person, so to get you here today is, made my day, made my week. And here's to many more years of, what you do and do so well at SFG. So thank you so much for coming and being on the P.O.W.E.R podcast.
You're too kind. It's been my great honour to be here.
Oh, anytime. Thank you. Ciao for now. The end.